The United Kingdom has begun mass rollout of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. Several vulnerable people and healthcare workers have already been inoculated. The government has ordered 40 million doses of this, and the plan is to vaccinate millions of people in the months to come. The United States this week began administering the same vaccine after granting emergency approval. Now, the makers of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine and the Oxford-AstraZeneca vaccines have applied for emergency approval in India, which is inching close to 10 million COVID-19 infections and has recorded over 143,000 deaths. The University College London Hospital here was one of the locations where human trials for the Oxford vaccine were conducted. I will now head inside to speak to Dr. Vikram Talolikar, who is an NHS Associate Specialist Doctor, but also personally volunteered in the human trials of the Oxford vaccine.
So it was nice to be able to participate in the trial. The trials were announced soon after the first lockdown happened, and of course UCLH was part of the whole trial setup as one of the institutions. When we were approached, we were told that we would have to sign a consent form, and that usually means you consent to participate voluntarily. You can withdraw from the study at any point. It starts with taking some vital measurements, making sure you're healthy and you haven't yet had COVID. So we all had to have our swabs and a blood test to make sure we did not have the infection already. And then it starts with immunization. So you've got either the real vaccine, the Oxford vaccine, or you're given a placebo, which is the controlled trial. And once you've had the vaccine, you're being monitored every week for any infection. So you have a swab every week, you have blood tests every 4 to 6 weeks. You have to report if you see any unusual symptoms. You have to report if you think you've got the infection. So there are hotlines set up to make sure at any point you feel something is happening, which is not what you would expect, you need to immediately report back to the team. So since then, for the last 6 months, all this monitoring has been going on, and we've been regularly submitting data to Oxford Group.
You have a significant knowledge about the Indian medical system as well as this health system in the UK. Mm-hmm. How would you compare the vaccine progress that's taking place here to what's happening in India right now?
Well, I think it's very much comparable. So I was surprised when the ICMR actually took up their own vaccine challenge and started rolling out the whole trial in terms of trial 3 for the third stage trials for their vaccines pretty soon after the Oxford AstraZeneca combined with the Serum Institute. And I think they're just about to look at their data and hopefully now submit for approval. They're in the process of seeking an approval from the Indian authorities. So overall, I think they've risen to the challenge. They've devised their own vaccines. They have now finished their phase 3 trials or finishing the trials. If they are able to demonstrate safety efficacy, because I haven't yet had a look at any data from them, then I think it's great, because if you have an indigenous produced vaccine and it's good for storage at 2 to 8 degrees and you can mass vaccinate people locally, that would be fantastic. So I wish them all the best. And it looks like both Oxford vaccine and the ICMR vaccines, if they are given to large sets of people throughout the country, although the population is huge, within a reasonable time we should be able to achieve a good control on the pandemic.
My final question to you is, there's this growing movement of people that are skeptical or are hesitant about taking the vaccine. What do you have to say to them?
I think that's really key. That's what we describe as infodemic at the moment, is that besides the pandemic, you've got people who are circulating myths, who are saying the vaccines are not good, they are a form of putting you in some sort of a problem in terms of monitoring what you do, etc., etc. I would only say that believe in science. These vaccines are a result of a lot of hard work from scientists who we should really salute. They've got a vaccine within 12 months of a disease being discovered, which is unprecedented. Some of us have been part of the trials, and I can assure you that these are safe and effective. So if you want this pandemic to get over and get on with your normal life, it's really important that everybody gets vaccinated so we have enough immunity in the community. And any myths, any problems, any false propaganda, check with the scientific bodies, check the information out there from neutral bodies who can advise you on what's best. But the real caption should be, believe in science. It's going to get over this pandemic only if you help science.
Over 1.6 billion people have lost their lives since the beginning of the pandemic. With several vaccines now showing signs of promise, many have proclaimed that the light at the end of the tunnel is finally in sight. This is Nishant Chilkuri in London for India Thinks.